everybody. Happy Saturday to you. Welcome to Book Chat. I am your host, author Vivian E. Moore. I am so glad to be with you again today. Praise God. It is such a lovely day outside. And I sort of feel guilty about it because I think of the hurricane, but it's been downgraded now to just a tropical storm that is devastating Texas as we speak. And my prayers goes out to every individual that is there in that state and the surrounding areas suffering from this devastation. So just keep them in your prayers. And we're going to get on with the show. But before we get into that, I want to give you these URLs and give you a chance to grab a pen and a piece of paper so you can jot down the information. Say "I" when you're done. Okay, good. All right. So the first one is, of course, to my Spreaker account. And it is https://www.spreaker.com/user/author Vivian Moore. You can check me out on Facebook. You can like me, follow me. That is https://www.facebook.com/Vivian Moore. And you can also check me out on Pinterest. I have a ton of boards out there that you can check out. And that is at https://www.pinterest.com/Vivian Moore 48. My Twitter handle is God's Property 46. And you can also check me out on Instagram, which is https://Instagram.com/God's Property 51. And you can check out my website as well. That is https://VivianMoore.wixsite. That's WIXSITE.com/author Vivian Moore. And you can also check out today's transcripts on Blogger, which is at vivianemore.blogsite.com. And if you want to drop me an email, you can do that at my email address, which is authorvivianemore@gmail.com. And also I am on iTunes, and I give out that information when I give out the title of the show and the topic that I will be discussing when I upload that on Instagram. I do that every Saturday morning. So those of you who tune into the show, whether live or you check it out later, it gives you a little bit of information of what I'm going to be discussing. So, and just get you prepared for that. So now I'm going to get you prepared for the actual show. And the title of the show is Never Give Up, Never Give In, and the topic is Mind Over Matter. One of my favorite gospel songs, and Mary, they've done a rendition of it, and it's called I Can't Give Up Now. That song is such a motivational tool for me because it helps me to keep sight of where I want to go. It keeps my focus trained on every goal that I've set for myself, whether it's a daily goal, a monthly goal, or a yearly goal, or a lifetime goal. I love that song. And if you ever get the opportunity to listen to it, please do so. But truer words have never been spoken. And I look at the miles that are behind me now, and I say, wow, because look how far I've come. And I know that I can't turn back. This is where I apply mind over matter. And, because it applies to what my goals are in life and how important it is for me to reach them. Every day I speak this mantra, never give up, never give in. And what I learned is that if we accept defeat too easily, we will never achieve our goals. at the first sign of defeat, we want to just to tap out, like the wrestlers do, or the whatever you call those fighters, those wrestlers that do all the kickboxing and stuff like that. They tap out, and then basically saying, okay, I give up. I can't take anymore. I give up. We would never succeed in this life if we don't hang in there. And when things get rough, life is often fragile, and it is forever changing and always challenging, and it's a trial within itself, but it is worth hanging in there for. A friend once said to me, why do you care so much? And he was relating it to just life in general, about what people think about you, and and all of this stuff. And he said, the way I see it is like mind over matter. If I don't mind, then it doesn't matter. And I got what he said, even if it didn't apply to my own philosophy on life. And in many ways, though, I do agree, but maybe in a different context. Mind over matter to me is always pressing onward and upward, moving toward the mark of success through trials and whatever else life throws my way or your way. For years, I struggled with inhibitions because of my introversions, and because I was afraid to venture outside of my comfort zone. But living inside, this net of safety was not going to get me to where I wanted to be as a writer, as an author. And my personal journey, it began with journaling. When I was in middle school, and I worked in the office, and the secretary, she gave me, it was like a gift, a back to school gift, and it was a diary. I guess you could call it a journal or whatever, however you want to phrase it. But she gave it to me. And, I kept track of my introspective thoughts that later branched out to developing characters, actually story writing, and creating characters to take on the roles that I had created for them inside my mind. But, I almost sabotaged myself because I was so critical of my talent. And, and sometimes we are more critical of ourselves than other people are. And it's just sad. But, what I had to do is get past that. And I had to learn how to step out on faith and stop saying someday and start speaking right now. Sometimes you have to speak things into existence. How some people say that if you speak negative thoughts, negative things will happen. Well, if you speak positive thoughts, positive things will happen. And I believe that. It's like you can speak life into your life. You can speak life into someone else's life. Just like people spit out curses, and I'm not talking about bad words. I'm talking about curses as far as condemning someone to hell on earth or whatever it may be. You can speak things into existence, and one of them is success. But, there are some other things that go along with that. And, what I read this in a Sunday school book of all things, and it was a quote by Audrey Hepburn. And what she said was that the word possible is in the word impossible. And if you break it down, it is, because the first two letters of that word of impossible is I am. I am possible. And all things are, but you have to truly believe before you can see it. When I first accepted my gift of being a writer, I struggled with it. Although I knew that I was I knew that I was a storyteller, born and bred, because I came from a long line of storytellers. My mother was a storyteller. My great-grandmother was a storyteller. I never knew my great-grandmother, but I'm guessing that she probably was too, because usually these things are handed down through the generations, and they're also God-given. So I do know that. But, I was uncertain of how good I was due to self-doubt. And, the often negative opinions of others. I used to listen to that. I had to learn not to do that. And, once I got past my personal challenges, I fell right back into the destructive mode of allowing myself to feed into the negative the negativity circulating around me. Basically, I was setting myself up for failure, and because I was at the baby stages of my career. And I had to crawl before I could learn how to walk, and so that left me so susceptible to criticism. And some of it, believe it or not, came from within my family circle as well, outside of the circle. And you may have heard me speak on this before. About some family members saying that that my work was plagiarized, and very hurtful things, especially for a person who started out as being very introverted. And I'm getting past it. I'm not completely past it, but I am getting past it. The stronger I get, the more that part of me lessens. But it is something that will always be there, because it's a part of my character. But and I heard that, and it was hurtful, because of the fact that they had no idea, the number of hours and days of sacrifice that I put into just creating one story. And when I first started writing, I was way younger, and I had all of my children then. I had 4 of them, and they were young, and so that was a challenge, learning how to incorporate writing with my family life, because I was a single parent. And so I worked outside of the home, and then I had to also take care of them. But I learned how to work it out to where everything got equal time. Maybe my writing didn't get as much time as as working and taking care of my children, but I was able to at least get a few hours a day, and maybe more on the weekend, to write, and to amass the amount of books that I have. I haven't published all of them, but so far I've published 3, and I'm working on getting the 4th book and the 5th book published. So everything takes time. You have to have time to write, and time to just get everything perfect before you put it out there, because what you do will be remembered, whether it's good or whether it's bad. So I would rather it be remembered for being good. But and then I listened to the criticism that came outside of my family. And this was from also people that I considered family. They weren't blood family, but they were still family to me, that said that, you would never be rich at this, and blah, blah, blah. And, my thoughts were, how do you even know what my goals are? How do you even know that is my plan, that is what I want? But those things, I sort of shook it off, because I was like, they're basing it on the fact that they don't want to see me be successful, and just doing it in a shade kind of way, a shady kind of way. And I was like, that's okay. But, you learn as you go along. And like I said, you don't have to prove anything to anyone. All you have to do is be successful. And to me, that's the best comeback you could ever have with your naysayers, is to just be successful in what you do. But criticism isn't always a bad thing, especially if it prepares you and it strengthens you. And I accept and welcome constructive criticism because that's a learning tool. And, I also had to deal with the reality that not everyone will share the joy of your success. So that is something that you have to deal with too. My children call them haters or whatever, whatever definition you want to apply there, you can do it. But I think that's a pretty good one right there. But, I'd rather see anyone be successful than to fail because, I'm trying to be realistic here. And I know that everyone will not be successful, but I want them to be successful. And, and that's the reason why I do this show every weekend, because, I want to motivate you. I want to uplift you. I want to give you something positive that you can use in your life. And these little tidbits of information that I try to impart to you weekly is part of that gift. I try to give back. When I learn something, I share it. And I didn't have that when I first started out writing. I didn't have anyone to give me writing tips and things of that nature. The internet wasn't as broad as it is now as far as obtaining that information on your own. But later years, as the internet started to grow and information started to develop, and so there were a lot of different databases that you could go to now to obtain the information that you need. If you have a question, basically all you have to do is type it in. I use Google quite a bit because I find that search engine is most helpful to me, especially when I'm doing research for one of my books, or if I just want to know something in general. I usually go to Google because that information source it just works well for me. But it's okay to think that you are the greatest thing since sliced bread, but you have to keep an open mind about everything, and you have to bear in mind that having a big ego is dangerous to your success. I equate it to having a closed fist. Nothing can get in if you just ball your fist up really tight, and you can't get anything in. You can't get a slot of finger in there, and you can't get out. Nothing can get out of it either. So you have to listen to good advice because it's worthwhile. Don't close your mind off. Don't close your ears off to those who would give you something that is useful to your career. So remember that. Don't let your ego stand in the way of good sense. But popularity is every future success story's dream, and we all desire to be relevant, one level or another, topping the charts, and as it applies to writing, one day a bestseller. However it relates, whether you're an author, a movie personality, or a vocalist, artist, whatever it is, wherever your ambitions lie, anything is possible, but you must stay the course to achieve it. You can't turn back. You always have to apply mind over matter. You can never give in. You can never give up. I've never been one who needed a pat on the back. This has never been my source of motivation. In fact, it disturbed the flow of positive energy that surrounded me. And, humans they're vain creatures by nature. And some of us love the hype. And, we develop a false sense of security because of it. But, what I've learned is that people will tell you what you want to hear instead of what you need to hear. And I'd rather someone tell me that I'm horrible instead of being placed high up on a pedestal to only tumble headfirst back to the ground because they lied to me. And, talk about picking your face up off the floor. This is a prime example of that. But, pep talk is good. And coaches have the right idea about this because they know that that it's a way to lift morale and to inspire motivation. For a football team, basketball team, hockey team, whatever the sport is. They use this. Good job. That was good. Good hustle. Whatever means, whatever words they use to inspire. The team members. If it works, great. And that is a good source of motivation because everyone can use a great motivational speech because it gets you in motion, and one thing that, that I'll share with you about me is that, if you tell me that I can't do anything, then I will prove you wrong. And I'm not someone who is what's the word I'm looking for? Revengeful, because that's not me. That's not a part of my personality. But in telling me that, it motivates me to keep going. And again, it just tells me to use mind over matter. And everyone should have a personal drive and adhere to plans that they've laid out for their lives. I'm just going to give you a word of advice before I end this show today. Anything worth having is worth fighting for. If success is your goal, then be prepared for setbacks. And that's just the reality of it. You need to keep honest people in your circle who would tell you the truth always. You don't need someone in your circle, because to me that's the enemy, that whisper lies into your ear to tell you, you're great, what you do is great, for whatever personal motivation, for whatever personal goal it is for them, or that they're going to get something out of it. Some people will tell you that, and you don't need to hear that. What you need to hear is the truth, because sometimes the truth does hurt, but it helps you to do better. It helps you to apply yourself better when you get this. It's a hard pill to swallow, but still at the same time, it's a way for you to improve yourself. And just remember, never give in, never give up. Whatever you do, wherever you go, make this part of your daily devotion. All right, folks. So that's all that I have for you today. As always, I want to keep it short and sweet. I don't want to hold you for too long because there is a few hours, maybe not a few hours, but maybe about an hour and a half of whatever left in the daytime. And I'm sure you want to get out and enjoy this beautiful day. It's not humid outside. Oh my gosh, that is so good. So it makes you want to go outside and just sit. If you just want to go out and sit in the yard and listen to the birds or listen to the crickets in a bit, then, this will enable you to do that in comfort. And also remember that tomorrow is worship day. Take a family member or take a friend. Take someone who may not know Christ to church with you so they can go and worship with you. Tomorrow we are going to have a baptism at our church. After church last Sunday, we had a young man who came down and gave his life to Christ. And so tomorrow we're going to have him baptized. And then next Sunday, the first Sunday, he will receive the right hand of fellowship. So that is something to rejoice over when one more has come into the kingdom of God, into the family of Christ Jesus. And tell somebody that you love them, because tomorrow is not promised. Today may be the only day that you get to say that. I love you. I hope you love me back. Until we meet again, God bless you and goodbye.